What's up, Tutorinos, and welcome back to another episode of the Game Addicts Podcast, episode 156, the show where we talk about the modern retro video games that we play and collect, and by God, sometimes we dive deep into those favorite games, stories, lore, and characters that I hold so dear to my heart. Joining me here today is two very special guests, two very special guys that have been on the show in the past, and of course, quite often here recently. First of all, the guy, the glue that holds me together to do this show, my buddy Tyler. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Brando?
I'm hanging in there, man. Of course, there hasn't been an episode in a couple weeks. That is on me. It has been a very slow news cycle. I was going to do the thing about The Last of Us, and I'm like, well, the next week is going to be the PS5 thing. Well, that got kind of canceled due to everything kind of going on in the world at the moment. So I decided to hold off a little bit longer. And lo and behold, we don't have a date for that yet. But you know what? We have an opportunity to sit down with you, as well as our other guest, the Podfather himself, Nate. How's it going, bud?
Bro, thank you guys so much for having me back on the show. It's not been super long. I think I was only a couple episodes ago on with you there, but I love talking games, man, and I actually have been playing some fucking games. So I have things to say when we get there in the episode. Yeah, for sure.
Well, absolutely. And of course, I've been working on a new deep dive as well to bring that series back and to do some more deep dives when I don't have as much to talk about. Normally, we'd be all geared up for E3 and all hyped up, but with COVID pretty much ruining all of our lives, and as far as anything fun goes, we are still getting some of these events in digital format. We're getting a PlayStation thing. EA's doing something. Ubisoft's doing something. Xbox is doing something in July. So this stuff is still happening. It's still coming. But that just means is that it's a little bit more spread out. So maybe we can get some more episodes under the belt instead of having to cram it all into like one big weekend and then try to put it into like one or two episodes where we are like overwhelmed with stuff, which is kind of cool because how often is it when we have an E3 weekend where so much still cool stuff kind of gets overlooked because there's something bigger that gets announced at Microsoft or PlayStation or Nintendo that, that might have got, revealed over the weekend or something. But it's really cool to have you guys back here on the show and really cool to have you guys both on together because I was on Journey into Comics 299 with you guys this week. And, of course, we sat down and we talked about the stuff that's going on in the world. We took a look at Kraven's Last Hunt and talked about that. And that was really cool to get back into some comic reading and something that I really enjoyed doing. And as well, that was almost like a preamble, if you will.
Yes.
For what's coming up next week for you guys. Journey into Comics, episode 300. I'll be a part of that as well. Thank you guys so much for having me a part of that. And by all means, all you guys who are checking this episode out, head over to journeyintocomics.com to check out that monster-filled episode full of a bunch of crazy, wacky, animated fellas as we talk about everything under the sun.
But comics.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, we didn't talk about comics at all. No, so far.
Not yet. There will be comics, though.
We've talked about racial injustice, presidential thunderdomes. We talked about beards and lack of beards. On the last episode of 299, we talked about Tyler's ability to ungrow a beard.
And, he ungrows it, man.
And the only thing that I could think of is that that Play-Doh thing where you push down and hair pops out.
It's the reverse of that.
If you just watch that video in reverse, that's what's happening.
Oh, that's funny.
My mommy says I'm a handsome boy.
I literally, so my baby, Owen, he likes to yank on this. and it hurts. And of course, having to wear a mask at all times inside the factory, at work, other than when you're eating or drinking, this kind of gets annoying. So I've
matted to your face.
I've contemplated pulling a Tyler, just going clean shaven, and my wife literally said, "You've got a butter face when you shave." I'm like,
"Aw, how dare she?"
She goes, I mean, not really, but like, I don't like it when you, like, you look so, like, you can see your double chin. Like, stop. Like, jeez.
Something is wrong.
Like, this is like, we used to have a phrase, like, not to make light of the things like this, but we used to say spousal abuse. You know, spousal abuse, you know, it's like, you know, like, we were just kidding around with it, but spousal abuse. You know, hey, come on now, safe word. Don't attack me like that. I'm going through a hard
Try to
time.
keep the gloves up.
How dare she?
You know, there was something that we saw. This is completely unrelated, but kind of related to my life right now. We were stuck at a train in Lafayette. Of course, there's only like a few places where you can get stuck by a train in Lafayette. We were sitting there, and you know how you have like the graffiti, the car art on like all the art on the side of the cars. And there was one that went by that said, "I'm going through change."
Not changes.
I'm going
through a motherfucker's change.
I'm going through change.
I got quarters. I got nickels. I got dimes. I got change.
Right now, Brando's going through some change. So, like, don't attack me when I'm down. God damn it. I'm thinking of shaving and starting a new thing. And she's like, "Don't. Please.
How dare you? Don't
do it." I'm like, he pulls on it and it hurts. Like, imagine if he pulled on your chin hair. It's not long enough. Anyways, guys, it's so good to have you here on the show. Not a whole lot to talk about as far as gaming news. There's some rumors. The PlayStation 5 event the rumor is it's going to be taking place on June 12th. So sometime this week. We don't. They pretty much have all week to say, "Hey, this is the day that we're doing it now." They can announce it literally the day before, and there's still going to be millions of people who watch it. So, you know, I imagine probably on Monday or a few days out, they'll say, "Hey, Friday, we're doing it." So with that, there were some patents that kind of came out, and it kind of revealed what we had seen before of the Sony PlayStation 5 development console that developers already have. And it gives us a look on kind of what's on the inside of it. What's really striking is that this dev console has 6 fans.
Wow.
Now, fucker's like a drone.
It's very typical for, you know, their consoles to only have 1 fan. You know, a PS2 had 1 fan, 3 had 1. I've taken apart my 4, it had 1 fan. This one has 6. Now, probably not the official. The official one probably won't have 6.
Right.
Let's just be honest. That's a lot of fans, even for like a PC.
Yeah.
You know, what I imagine is that this is intended for pretty, you know, really driving their dev kits pretty hard, and to keep the insides cool, and probably have multiple consoles around each other where the air is pretty warm anyway. But with PS5. What do you guys think this system's going to cost? Because the rumor is
$499.
The rumor is that the system is going to cost about $450 or like to manufacture. That's the rumor, and that's just like, we don't know everything completely yet, but we know the specs, we know what's inside. And the cost of manufacturing, we know that the PS4 cost them like $380 to manufacture, and they sold it at $400 for a $20 profit. PS3, they sold the consoles at a loss for a long time, and
with that $600 price tag.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was still at a loss because it cost them like $800 to make the damn thing. But broken down. If Sony sold the console, like when you take into account shipping Everything else, the system costs $450, and then it probably cost them about $470. But they say say they sold it at $450 at a $20 loss. At if they sold 10 million consoles, it would be a loss of $200 million.
Whoa. But does $2,100,000 loss actually hurt Sony?
Absolutely. It absolutely does. You would be making up money on the back end with software, but but when you take into account like that number doesn't look good for any company. Whether or not you're making money hand over fist, even if with that loss, if you have money, when you're looking at like every year you're doing the numbers, like where can we cut money? Well, guess what? We're losing $200 million every year. Maybe we could start cutting that down. Odds are they're going to charge $500 or like Nate said, $499. That's my bet.
I just assumed with the Xbox, whatever model you want to call it, I'm still confused about what the hell is what. But the
Xbox Scorpionox,
the Xbox Scorpionox Prime, Series Q, Iteration 4, Model J. That's the one that I'm gonna buy. The 8K version.
In purple.
In purple, yep.
Got me purple.
But I've talked about this with a lot of the people I work with over the last couple of weeks, and I have like postured, and basically said, this is the first time in my life of video games that basically within a reasonable amount of time of each other, I owned both the PlayStation and the Xbox. And with the exclusives that both of them have, in good conscience, I cannot own just one. So I have financially been preparing myself to spend $1,200 on video game consoles this fall, because I fully expected both of them to be a $599 price tag.
Well, we will definitely see. I hope not. I hope they're not that much.
Me too.
I won't be getting both at launch because I got that deal on the Xbox One X, which they're pretty much saying like when the Series X launches, every single Microsoft made game will be backwards compatible. Maybe that's not the right word. Backwards playable, because it's like, okay, the new Halo will be on Xbox One X.
Well, it'll have to be because it'll be on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have an Xbox One S.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be playable to me, otherwise they couldn't put it on Game Pass.
Exactly. So I'm kind of future-proof for a couple years, I feel, because the X is so powerful compared to what we have out now. It won't be in comparison to the Series X or to the 5, but I won't be in a rush to get a Series X.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure if it's still available, but I did see that awesome-looking Cyberpunk.
That looked dope. Sure.
Xbox One X, and it was $300, and with a copy of the game, I think. So
whoa.
And I think it gets some exclusive DLC stuff. I don't know what, I didn't read into that, but I did see that. I like the look of the console. I think it looks cool. But, I went ahead and got that around Christmas time, just kind of future-proofing myself. It's like, I do want to be a part of this next Xbox generation. I've liked what they've been doing, and I want to carry forward, but I'm also not, I know I'm going to get the PS5 first. I already know that. So do I, that way I won't have to wait a year or two before I get the next Xbox. And then maybe by then, maybe a year or 2 or 3, the little mid-range or the middle upgrade for the next Xbox Series Q or whatever that upgrades the Series X.
Triceratops
will be out, and we will have, then I'll be like, all right, I didn't get the first launch model. I didn't need it. Now I actually do need an upgrade.
Form of bucket of water.
Now, from everything that I actually saw something, this is also PlayStation 5 related, that Linus Tech, he broke down the Xbox Series X, and he also was breaking down the specs of the PS5, and he was kind of criticizing the 5 a little bit, but then he dove into some different numbers, and I have to find this because I don't have it up. Linus PS5 apologizes. because he found out something that no one's focusing on.
Okay.
So everyone's talking about computing power and teraflops.
Like they always do.
Yeah. Linus of Linus Tech Tips called Tim Sweeney a little while ago and criticized the Epic boss's comments about the PS5 SSD. He has now apologized and deepens the storage technology of the PlayStation 5. Tim Sweeney, a big fan of the PS5 SSD, went so far to call it divine. The next generation SSD is beyond the highest level PC SSDs on the market today with the best storage in its class, Sweeney said. Like many PC gamers, Linus Sebastian was skeptical and commented on him shilling for the PS5. But now, after watching Mark Cerny's presentation, that was the one that put us all to sleep around April, he has apologized. And he has said, the bottom line is Mr. Sweeney probably knows that what we don't know, but even based on what we can see with it for ourselves, if what Sony says is true, it's not shilling for the PS5. I put some of you on the wrong track, and it was a breach of our trust, which I can do better. And finally, once again, I'm particularly sorry for Mr. Sweeney, who may not make fun of my blunder or my apologies, and I would understand that. Now, basically, the SSD that's going to be in the PS5. It's going to be so far above what's available in PCs and what's available on the Xbox Series X. And of course, this SSD is baked right into the motherboard. So when you look at the base hardware of specs between PS5 and Xbox Series X, which I don't have a graphic or anything like that up for specs or anything like that, but this is something that I did see the other day that with what they're talking about here with the whole transfer speed. And what I'm going to say to you guys is going to be, unless you're really into tech, it's going to be really boring. I'm gonna go full Mark Cerny on you guys.
Okie dokie. I'm excited.
so I do apologize. I'm gonna try and get through this pretty fast because there's a lot of comparative. A lot of these two consoles are pretty comparable.
Sure. And I've heard that.
The processor. Both have a AMD Zen 2 CPU. The PlayStation 5 is at variable frequency of 3.5. Series X is clocked at 3.8 gigahertz. Graphics processing, PlayStation 5 is at 10.28 teraflops. 32 CUs clocked at variable frequency of 2.23. Xbox Series X, 12.16 teraflops. 52 CUs clocked at 1.825 gigahertz. Both have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM. The storage on the SSD, Xbox Series X has 1 terabyte.
Yep.
PlayStation went 825. Expandable storage, PS5 has an NVMe SSD slot, and Microsoft created their own expansion terabyte card thing for that. Both have optical 4K Blu-ray drives. The max output resolution for both is 8K. But it's that SSD that we were talking about. The speed at which they're able to get the data from the hardware to the motherboard is a lot faster on the PS5. While Xbox...
How much faster, though? I mean, can you quantify that
All
time
right.
frame?
Xbox Series X, 2.4 gigabytes or gigabits probably a second raw, and 4.8 gigabits per second compressed.
Okay.
PS5, 5.5 gigabits or gigabytes. I'm not sure which one they're doing. Probably gigabytes per second raw. 8 to 9 gigabytes per second compressed. So
Holy shit.
So it's basically double.
Double. And so, sure, the Xbox can put out a little bit more power, but the simple load time and speed and to what basically what they're all saying is that the SSD that is in the PlayStation 5 is going to really potentially revolutionize game development going forward because of how quickly they can get that information from the files to the system to you.
Almost no load times, essentially.
That's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Which
means
crazy.
a true interactive gaming experience where you're just always experiencing what you're doing.
Yeah. So like
I
am sorry for that long, trodden spec boredom, but it
was only like 2 minutes. It wasn't bad.
But it was going somewhere because I wanted to showcase how comparably these two systems really are. Like, oh, Series X has 12.6 teraflops versus PlayStation 5's 10. Is that really that much of a jump? Like in comparison to each other, it's a couple. So, but then we're also looking at like how much faster the PS5 is. So, I don't think you're going to be able to go wrong no matter which side you go for. I think we're going to get some awesome games, and that's what's really people should take out of this. And I'm not trying to say that PS5 is where you should go, but like like Tyler said, I'm going to be a guy who's going to get both of these, and I can truly say that when I got the PS4 and I got the Xbox One, the PS4 was above it. When I got the PS4 Pro and I got the Xbox One X this year, Xbox One X trumps it. It's way more powerful. Like, not saying that I've played any games on the PS4 Pro that didn't look good. They do. But let's just be honest here. They put some balls into the Xbox One X. Mm-hmm. And the PS4, they were like, hey, we're going to go like a little bit, just enough. And Xbox was like, we're not. No, we're not. This is basically going to be a
test run for our next system.
Essentially, kind of like they basically bumped it up to where instead of it being a half step, it was like one step, and now with these, we're taking 2 steps. I mean, these consoles are going to be comparable to PC stuff
soon.
Like in order to have and me and Mike have been arguing about this because he's a huge PC guy, and I'm telling him that for $500, you can get a console that's going to be doing what the PC can do better than a $500 PC.
Yep. Like
to have a PC that runs what this is describing, what this is putting out at this speed, you're looking at $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 PC
minimum that you have to worry about. Antivirus, malware. All kinds of shit. You have to worry about physically
maintaining
it to where
maintenance.
Yes, maintenance, cooling it. Microsoft and Sony are taking care of everything for us. If I buy an Xbox or a PlayStation and I put it in my entertainment center and it fucking melts,
you can go get a hold of them and say, "Motherfucker, I got that warranty."
Yeah, I got that warranty. My fucking you burnt my house down. If I build a PC or buy a pre-built PC. Number one, especially if you buy the pre-built one, I think with laptops you get your value, but like the towers and stuff, you're getting raked over the coals. They are taking advantage of you being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, people can PC master race us to death all that they want, but the fact remains is the convenience that I pay for. I'm now not just paying for the convenience anymore.
You're getting the quality too.
I'm paying for the same thing that you are, but it's costing me less.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the convenience is there.
See, I think I'm in an interesting predicament coming into this next generation, and this is something, we haven't really talked about on any show, really. I still have LCD televisions in my house. Every single TV is an LCD. I've never made the jump to 4K. I don't know what that is experience like. I don't know anything. But the prices of TVs now are coming quite down. Mm-hmm. And Black Friday, they put those bitchin' deals out where you can get huge TV, cheap price. I'm hoping that I can scramble together, get a new 4K TV, just at least for the living room. Just so when I get the PS5, boom.
I would personally say you'd be better off not buying one during Black Friday because some of the summer sales and some of the first of the year, like January, February sales that they have on TVs are actually better than the ones that they have around Black Friday. Yeah. The TV that I bought for Skylar, I got before Black Friday, and the same TV was cheaper before Black Friday than it was, on that day. Yeah.
What you really need to look at as well, Nate, when you're looking to buy a 4K TV, do not buy into, like, say if you do go out on Black Friday, do not buy into the $200, $300 TVs. Those are TVs that are shit, and they put them that low for a reason, to just push the units. When I bought mine, I did my research.
Sure.
Because I wanted to, I had a price range, and I wanted to see what my best bet was for that price range. I spent 3 weeks comparing models. It was down
the same thing.
It was between two. It was between two. And, you know, I knew I couldn't go full bore, the best thing on the market. I can't do that. Hell no. But what I could do, I knew the brands that I've had a lot of good quality with. Samsung and LG.
Yeah, fuck yeah, same.
So it's like those are the two I was looking at. And I watched comparison videos on YouTube. I did it for 3 weeks. I'm like, tech people, you know, and granted, these TVs, when these tech videos were done, well, it was about maybe 2 years prior to when I was watching, or about a year, because, you know, they were first released. So I found the one that was perfect for me. I wanted something with good HDR, but not the best. So I got I believe it's the QR series, or a Q series of Samsung 4K. It's got HDR. It's got 120 gigahertz of refresh. And
did you know that that's an imaginary thing?
So, yes. Well, because you have 60 hertz refresh rate is the max that our eyes can really process.
Well, 60 hertz electronically is the max.
Yeah. So
electricity can only travel 60 hertz a second.
So what they're doing with the 120 hertz, first of all, you can't use 120 hertz refresh rate for gaming yet. Just not possible. Everything that we have on the current systems is all 60. So when I'm playing games, I always turn that off. Because with movies and TV, I turn it back on because they're adding in more frames.
Right.
To make the motion look smoother and look more real or whatever. And I like the way it looks. So yes, no, you're right. But I had to find the right one that I wanted. I had to find the price. So I think mine was like $700. So it was normally like $1,100 or $1,200. So Black Friday, it was down. You know, and I went, I think, you know, I mean, they run the Black Friday deals from the week before, 2 weeks before, to all the way to Christmas, right. You know. So we went after Black Friday, after that weekend. We went into town. We looked at it. They had some there. I picked it up. And what I did is I had a Best Buy card, so I pulled a Blaine and put it on my Best Buy card. Had to say it.
Oh, shit.
The difference is I paid half of that off when I got my Christmas bonus. I paid the other half of it off when I got my taxes. And that card is paid off, and we haven't used it since.
Nice.
And it's there if I ever want to buy a game or buy something that I can just keep my credit thing rolling with. Right. But from now on, when I'm going to accrue credit, I'm never going to do that unless I have an exact plan of when I'm going to pay that off. Right. I'm not putting myself in that position anymore to put myself into debt for fun.
No, it's not fun.
No, debt isn't fun. It isn't fun. It just makes your monthly expenses higher and your quality of living smaller.
Lower.
Yeah.
Lower. Even though you have cool stuff, you're still stressed out because then all of a sudden it's like, well, now I'm struggling to make ends meet because I got all these bills. No, screw that. I'm not doing that.
So as far as the TV thing goes, where I think we're all in a unique position is we are in the transition of 4K to 8K.
Mm-hmm.
4K is about to get cheaper.
4K is about to get a lot cheaper. Visually, I've done a lot of research on 8K because when I saw the manufacturer TCL was starting to manufacture affordable 8K TVs, I had to jump on it, you know, because I would like a bigger TV in my throne room. I've got a 55. I would like a 70.
Bam.
65 to 70. I would like a 70-inch TV. And if I'm going to buy a new one, I might as well get an 8K TV. So I did a lot of research into, just like Brandon did, breaking down every... Ruby says hello.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Breaking down all the manufacturers. I'm a fan of Vizio for what they
Same.
are as kind of a middle-of-the-road TV brand. the thing that's important to remember is when I first got a 1080p TV, Panasonic made the best TVs on the market. Technologically, they were leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. No one compared. And then Samsung and LG really wanted to corner that market. So they did. They knocked out Panasonic. They knocked out Sony, because Sony's still pushing that Bravia brand really, really hard. They're good TVs. LG and Samsung are making great TVs.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got TCL, who, much like Samsung and LG, they want a big chunk of that market. So we're going to see, just like when we went from plasma TVs to LCD to LED TVs now, the 8K TVs are going to be in the $12 to $2,000 range for a 5,500 or a 55-inch TV, and the 4Ks are going to drastically decrease in price.
So I might be in a great time to actually invest in getting a 4K because of that exact reason.
Absolutely.
When is that supposed to transition? This winter?
No, probably going in next year.
Okay.
Here's the problem with the 4K and 8K TVs. If you watch anything on broadcast TV, they don't broadcast in 4K.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few businesses, I'll call it, that film in 4K because it's so expensive. So we're buying an 8K TV. The only thing we're going to be able to watch in 8K is computer-generated things like video games, like movies that have spent a lot of money. Like
On
James
their graphics,
Cameron.
yeah.
James Cameron filming Avatar, that's going to be an 8K thing. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, so I've got two things now because we've been rolling with it. Nate, one thing to remember, just like Tyler said, when you're looking at a 4K TV, 4K is only good up to a certain size.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're looking at
max I would get is a 55 or
55.
60.
That's perfect, because when you start going 60 and above, you're stretching that 4K image and it doesn't look as sharp.
It's just like what happened when you had the 1080p TV at 42 inches versus a 1080p TV at 55 inches. Exactly. Absolutely.
The other thing with what Tyler was saying, so when James Cameron filmed the first Avatar, that movie was filmed using essentially 2K cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So theaters across the country updated their projectors to project movies into basically what is considered 2K.
Mm-hmm.
Even till today, because they like for those projectors to have a 10-year lifespan, because that's their investment. Those are not cheap.
Right.
So when you have 8 screens or 9 screens or 10 screens, you're buying 10 projectors. They have you want to get your monies out of them. So what Tyler said is right. We're going to be moving forward as far as cinema. And one reason why, if I go buy a 4K Blu-ray, say I go and buy Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Odds are Avengers wasn't filmed in 4K. It was filmed in 2K and up-res to 4K.
Right.
So the exact 4K quality is not there. It still looks pretty damn good. Don't get me wrong. I've watched Endgame, and it looks phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Netflix has started shooting all their stuff in 4K, and you can tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 4K TV, if you have HDR, because just recently we logged into Netflix. You have to pay extra for 4K on Netflix. We weren't doing that, but it was like $2 extra. I'm like, let's try it out. Let's see if there's a big quality difference for the shows that offer it, and if we don't like it, we can always pare it back down. So first thing, I'm looking for one of them. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they got The Matrix in 4K. Oh, they don't. Wonder if they got Back to the Future 4K. Oh, they don't. No, it's a lot of their original stuff. Stranger Things is in 4K. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It looked good. It looked fantastic because it's shot in native 4K and it's broadcasting to you in 4K. There is a difference. And so we are on that cusp of the new trendsetter, probably James Cameron again, filming these new Avatar movies, are using camera, because see, 4K cameras are now becoming a thing and becoming a little bit more cheaper, affordable. Yeah. So now a lot of other studios are jumping on board with it, and because they've just been filming in 2K because that's all you can project in a theater. That's all that matters, because that controls what you're putting out. There's very few movies that would shoot in 4K and de-res it to 2K, because that's just more work. You're gonna 4K Blu-rays weren't really a thing until 2-3 years ago anyway. Until when they first started really coming out, and so that's when so when you go and you buy the original Terminator film, that film wasn't shot in 2K or 4K. That movie wasn't even shot in 1080p. You know. So there's a lot of remastering that's done to that movie and to up-res it. And you know what? I remember the first time I saw that movie in Blu-ray, I went, "This movie looks too real. I don't like it anymore." like that original movie is supposed to be gritty and dark. I remember the film grain; it looked kind of shitty. That's what I remembered. And to see Kyle Reese walking down the street and it looks like, wow, that looks like a modern movie almost. They did a good job. I don't like it.
Well, I'm sorry, Nate. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna quickly say, James Cameron is not the trendsetter for 8K. James Gunn did it first. Guardians 2 is the first film ever shot with 8K cameras.
With 4K cameras?
No, with 8K cameras in 2016, bro. 100%. I remember that having been a thing. Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy was the first film shot in 8K. Marvel Studios confirmed it that they are shooting in 8K, as James Cameron stated. These are from back in 2016, 2017. They used Red's 8K camera specifically. So, and there's actually been articles written about like the cinematography aspects of what 8K can do because of Guardians and how it was shot.
I was going to say another good example of this is the 3D technology. You guys remember when, like,
I'm glad I never bought a 3D TV.
Right before 4K TVs got real popular, 3D TVs got real popular, and right around the time of Avatar, Avatar was shot with a 3D camera. It was shot in 3D. You look at the movie, I can't remember which one's the first one, Wrath of the Titans or Clash of the Titans. Those were not shot in 3D. They were shot in whatever dimension and then made into 3D, and the quality is leaps and bounds difference. It's another way to look at the 4K versus 2K.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see, with these games coming out that are gonna be next gen. I mean, the two games that we've been seeing so far with Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2. Those games, by all means, look next gen as far as how good they look. As far as
especially Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes. Nate, if you haven't seen anything on that game,
have not. I need to
go, because they did an 18-minute 4K play run. Of course, I know you don't have 4K.
I do on this laptop I'm talking to you with.
Then
go ahead and sign off and watch it.
Yeah. I mean,
let me just fuck right off.
Yeah, go ahead and get out of here. Just get.
Me and Tyler talked about that on the last episode and how good that game just looks. And Last of Us, they came out with that gameplay part, and I was just enthralled. It looked fantastic. But the one thing about Last of Us that I'm really excited to see is the combat. And how much that's more integrated. It's more fluid. They have the dodge button, and you're in it, man. And the fluidity of running through gaps in the wall, trying to get away, and then just trying to distract or kill the damn dogs coming after you.
I watched an interview and read an article about the things that they had to change with The Last of Us Part 2, and they talked specifically about how when you play the first game, the way that Joel moves and interacts with the world around him is very purpose-built on the frame of a large man. You got to figure Joel is 6'1", 6'2". He's a big guy. And then you have Ellie, who, now that she's an adult, or a young adult, she has a much smaller frame, and she is going to move and interact with the world around her much different. That's why they added things like the ability to crawl underneath cars. I thought that was incredible. The gameplay segments that I've seen of, there's people around you and you dive under a car and they're looking under cars, stuff like that. So, I mean, like we've always said every time we've talked about Naughty Dog or The Last of Us, like you have to give that studio the props, because if you want to talk about realism, like they are evaluating how a real life human being would actually act. And every studio is obviously doing that, trying to enhance realism, but I mean, they have gone out of their way to let you know up front that the way that you are going to play as Ellie is not the same way that you played as Joel, and be prepared for that.
Absolutely.
Did you guys see the latest breaking Last of Us news that dropped yesterday?
I have a news bit up, not about the leaks.
No, this is about the HBO show.
I have that up right now.
They found their first director, Brando.
Director Johan Renck. He was the director from the Chernobyl series. Of course, the
amazing series.
The series is being the Last of Us series is being created, spearheaded by Craig Mazin or Mazin. He was the creator of the Chernobyl series, and that the director will be directing at least the pilot of the series, and that they have been in constant talks, once a week talks with Craig as well as Neil Druckmann, who created the game and wrote the two entries we have, and they're talking about different approaches and how to deal with the story and how to deal with the fact that a video game character is way further than a character from a book, so it's different because as a video game character we are experiencing their story, their growth, and for a series that's a little bit different, and that's why it's going to be a lot different. Not one to comparison, Nate, but when you see the book of of The Walking Dead compared to what they did with the series, and while their story changes, they chose different ways to tell the story of the world than what they did in the book, simply because you have a bigger and different medium that you can expand more. You're not as limited for the games. I'm sorry, I'll let you speak in just a second here, but for the games, you're right along with Joel, you're right along with Ellie. You're seeing the story from their point of view. With a show, you're able for them to be on Joel and Ellie the whole time, and that's it. That's limiting. You can go around. You can switch over to Marlene. You can switch over to Bill. You can establish these other characters and then have them come across each other or have them interact or however they're going to do it. So the overall story of The Last of Us will be like this, expansive compared to like tunnel vision as you experienced during the game.
Well, I'm looking forward to the series. I need to beat The Last of Us and then get stoked for 2. I'm halfway through. I just haven't. I need to sit down and finish it. I'm bad about that sometimes. I also need to finish FF7. Jesus, I'm like right at the end, and I'm like blowing it. It's my favorite game, and I'm blowing it. But shit's been busy lately. Damn it, I'm not in control of that. So, anyways, yeah, man. I don't know.
I haven't even. So I'm looking at my Amazon cart right now. I have 3 games in there, sitting at the top.
What is?
Well, we got Doom Eternal.
Ooh.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. Still haven't bought it. And The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, I'm more than likely gonna be buying all 3 of these games like next week.
Awesome.
I'm so ashamed.
So my order for Last of Us Part 2, I got the special edition that comes with the steelbook and art book, and that is Amazon is still saying it's arriving Friday the 19th by 8 p.m. Of course, it'll be here right around noon or 1 o'clock. So by the time I get home from work, I'll be here.
We're losing Brando for at least a week.
You're fucking donezo.
I am donezo.
Did you hear about the guy who the creator of the game talked about how The Last of Us 2 will sometimes be an arduous chore of an experience and not always a fun experience?
Yes.
Because he wants it to be challenging.
The second game is going to be a rough playthrough because it's going to be so guttural. It's going to be intense. That is one thing that the first game did very well. It balanced the really tense situations. Like the first time playing that, you're like this, and then it gave you time to breathe and relax, and it got you to. And there's a situation where you're like this, and then so you're in there, then you survive, and then you get to explore a little bit, and you're like, I feel like this game's gonna be even more intense, and everything that they've showed off, it is everything that like the pace seems faster, the aggressiveness of the enemies seems more, and I can definitely see what he's saying. Like, this is not going to be just comfort food. This isn't going to be a game you go, wow, I can't wait to play. This is going to be so fun. It's going to be fun to play, but it's also going to be, I feel like what he did with the first game, what they did, I shouldn't say just he, is that they made that game an experience to play.
Right.
It wasn't just about the ending. and I've said this to, I'm not sure if I've said that here on the podcast, but I've said this to other people. Maybe had I had heard the ending of the first game before I knew it, I would be less interested to play it, because it's about that experience from beginning to end. And then you sit down and you're cycling through and you're like, wow. In a weird way, kind of like what we talked about with Kraven's Last Hunt. The first few issues, maybe that's not the best part to be into, but it's that journey of getting into these, getting into the character and everything, and their path, and it makes you think, what would you do? If you were in Joel's shoes, what would you do? And what I like is that for many games that give you the choice, they give the player the choice. You get to do this. This is your story. Make it your own. Last of Us isn't that way. You're playing along, and you're experiencing the story with these characters, and you're along for the ride. And that's what's Naughty Dog is second to none, damn near, in creating really awesome, cinematic experiences for games.
Right.
Look at what they were able to accomplish with the Uncharted series from the beginning, first one, and then look where they ended with the fourth one. That fourth one was just level here. Like, you're playing through these big action set pieces, and you feel like you're in a damn Fast and the Furious movie sometimes. It gets crazy.
Right.
So, really, really excited for the next Last of Us. I have a quick tidbit for Resident Evil 8. There's some rumors. This came out a few days ago.
Okay.
Now there's been a lot of rumors about 8. 8's been in development. The rumor is it's probably going to come out around early next year, so it's going to be on the next gen as well as current gen. According to Resident Evil site Biohazard Cast and its sources, parts of the upcoming horror game are played as a mountain resident named Emily, so you're a female in her late 20s, who is aiding the game's other main character, Ethan Winters. He was the main character and main protagonist of Resident Evil 7. According to the report, Emily is on the search for her father and grew up in the village where the game takes place. Why is Ethan there? Well, apparently it begins with him, Mia, and their child. Interesting.
Okay. Which
is deformed as a result of infections. Of course, Mia was also infected in the prior game. In other words, it's not a normal child. As a result, the trio live pretty lonely in a remote place. And this gets into some spoiler territory. So XXX warning if you don't want to hear this. This is your chance to cut out in 3, 2, 1. Cut. Get out of here. They try to hide remote. An attempt to hide their child, and they do this for a while until it's interrupted by Chris Redfield, who breaks into the house and executes the mutant's child.
Whoa.
And shoots Mia, although apparently she lives. Ethan is presumably knocked out. When he wakes up, the child is dead, but Mia is alive after Chris bandages her up. However, some shadowy figures in the room, and not long after this, Ethan is abducted and taken to the village, where apparently there have been numerous disappearances lately. Further, it's unclear why Redfield did what he did. In addition to the village, players will also explore surrounding caves, forests, and even castles, giving the game a much larger focus on outdoor locations. There's also some occultism in the game, which apparently plays a big role and surrounds a cult that worships the abominations created by the new virus. Meanwhile, the antagonist of the game is a mysterious count living in one of the aforementioned castles named Alan. He is said to be the leader of a high-ranking member of the Connections, complimenting him as a secondary villain to Natalia/Alex Wesker. Sounds like Blue Umbrella, which was unveiled at the end of 7, is not only involved, but learn more that they aren't as clean-cut as they portray themselves. The report claims that the main enemies are zombies and pale human-like enemies that resemble the Ganados from Resident Evil 4. Meanwhile, wolves that resemble lickers are also in the mix, as well as medieval-esque zombies. I swear if they have like zombies in full-blown armor, swinging axes, that'd be hilarious. And then you're trying to shoot and you can't, just metal.
Pings off of them, yeah.
And there's also reports of a werewolf-like enemies and a witch.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I'm in.
Lastly, it reports that the flashlight will play a major role in the game due to the fact that it's usually very dark, and you can run out of batteries, but they will recharge when they're not being used. So that's kind of reminds me of. Did you ever guys ever
Alan
play
Wake?
Outlast or Alan Wake? Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play Outlast, but I did play Alan Wake.
Outlast, you had this night vision camera, and if you used it too much, you would run out of battery. And I think you had to find more or whatever. But, yeah, interesting. Resident Evil 8. I love some of the Resident Evil games, and there's other ones I don't love. The story definitely goes, it's better than the movies. Better than the movies. The movies went absolutely crazy and stupid. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. I liked 7 way more than I thought I was going to like 7.
Me too.
I don't think I played 7 yet.
7 is in first person.
Ooh.
And you're in a house with these crazy motherfuckers, and they basically kind of like at times can like hunt you throughout the house and follow you around and shit, and you got to try and like hide from them and shit.
I'm in. I'm
Like,
interested. Fuck yeah.
I was not expecting to like it. I'll be honest with you, because I played 5. I mean 4, 5. I started getting out of the series a little bit. I didn't like 6.
6 was fucking awful. Let's just get that off the table. It was.
I didn't play
bad.
6. 5 was the last one I think I played.
Well, and see, with 5, you had that gameplay from 4, but it removed like pretty much the horror element, and it made it like Gears of War, but Resident Evil, and which is fun to play with a friend. But as a mainline Resident Evil game, I don't think
It wasn't Resident Evil.
Well, I mean, they were moving it to more action based because they wanted to sell more copies. When in reality, when they they're like, wow, Resident Evil 2 sold really well because they liked it. It was more like the old ones. I'll be damned. Who'd have thunk? I'll be damned. And no, so, Resident Evil 2 remake, fantastic. Resident Evil 3 remake, short but fantastic. And so, like,
yeah, that's in my list too.
Definitely kind of wait till it goes down a little bit because you might as well right now. You waited long enough.
So they did remakes for both those games?
2 and 3, yes, and they're on PS4 and they're fucking phenomenal. Yeah, they are phenomenal.
First of all, let me ask you this: how did you not know?
Because I haven't been keeping up with games nearly as much, man. I mean, especially right now, I've been, Ollie's been playing a lot of games. It's funny, we brought up Naughty Dog. He's been playing through Uncharted. He beat 1, he beat 2, he beat 3. He's almost done with 4.
Resident Evil 2 remaster came out last year.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea, man. I'm oblivious to the gaming world. I just know about stuff when I go to the store, and lately the stores don't have games. At least the stores I go to.
So Resident Evil 2.
Oh, bitchin'.
Remake. Now, I know a lot of you listeners already know all about this game, but Nate does not, so we're going to educate him. So the game
Cliff Notes. It's cool.
The game does retain the 2 scenario situation, so you can choose to play as Leon or Claire, and there is an alternate kind of scenario that complements the one that you didn't play.
Oh, cool.
So you can play as like scenario 1 as Leon and scenario 2 as Claire. And then flip it, play a scenario 1 as Claire and scenario B as Leon. And it isn't as different as the original game as far as the difference between the scenarios, but there is some difference. And what they were able to do with this game is really add to the story that that's in the original game. What's also cool about it is that it's enough nostalgia to keep you go, ooh, this, ooh, yeah. And it's also new. The gameplay is done in a third-person shooter, but it's not just a complete Resident Evil 4 action hackfest. You do have to be thoughtful of your ammunition. You know what? Go for headshots is cool, but one headshot's not going to kill a zombie. It doesn't work like that in Resident Evil because these are not supposed to be just like Walking Dead zombies. These are bio weapons. Love it. And so, like, boom, doesn't die. Boom, doesn't die. Boom, doesn't die. He falls over. And then he start getting back up. You're like, damn it. Boom. And then you're like, I just shot him 8 times. Wow, I'm an idiot. Because then if you realize you could have just popped him a couple times in the knee, he'd have fallen down, and now he can't get back up. Now he's just trying to crawl after you, and then you can kind of run around him. But also, they can follow you into other rooms now.
Ooh, so you can't escape with the load screen.
No, there are no load screens. And also, I got the deluxe edition, which gave me access to the classic soundtrack. So when you run into the RPD, it's that RPD theme from the original game. And,
awesome.
One thing they also changed for the remake is Mr. X. Mr. X from the original game, he was only in scenario 2, and he was like a constant nuisance. He followed you around, but not really. He had he had scripted moments where he would show up and be a nuisance to you. In this game, scenario 1, you leave the RPD for a while, then you come back. When you come back, he's there, and he follows you throughout the entire RPD. And you can't kill him.
Interesting.
You can slow him down if you put enough ammo into him, but is it worth it? He also patrols the RPD. So if you lose him, you can hear him thumping around. If you have headphones on, you can hear him above, like thump, 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 thump.
And like if he's on a floor, like if he's in a room above you, when he steps, like dust and shit will actually fall from the ceiling.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, like if you get a chance to play RE2, go for it. RE3 is a good compliment. It's the same gameplay style. But as much as I liked my playthrough of RE3 Remake, I have to be real with you guys and say that I don't think it was as good of a product as RE2 was.
But RE3 originally wasn't as good as RE2 was.
There you
so
go.
So it kind of fits.
It does kind of fit. I definitely had my fun with it. When I got it in the mail, of course, we were on quarantine. It showed up on day of release. I was so happy about that. I had nothing else to do because we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't do anything. So I just sat there and I played it Friday night, and I think I beat it Saturday afternoon. The thing with RE2 Remake is that you have that replayability with the other scenarios. So you essentially you can get like 10 to 20 hours in, depending on how many times you want to play the scenarios and try to unlock everything or whatever. With RE3, it's a little bit different, whereas you only have the one gameplay scenario. You play as Jill. And then what they did add, of course, in the original game, you played as Carlos. They added 2 sections, or they put 2 sections where you play as Carlos now. I like that a lot. They did change it a little bit from the original game, and I will say that RE3 Remake has a lot more changes, and it doesn't feel like as much as it's tied to the original as RE2. Definitely, RE2 is for the nostalgia, no doubt whatsoever. And Nate, I think you can pick this up RE2 for $20 now.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh no, like you'll love it. Like I'm gonna get a text from you to go, wow, holy shit, they did this right. And me and Mike were like floored when this game came out last year. It's all we talked about it's all I played for a month. I was back here like just gaming back here with my feet up, making my way through the game, and you know that whole tense thing with Mr. X, it makes you tense. It makes you tense, man.
Hell yeah.
But
well, I'm gonna be trying my best to pick that up ASAP.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to let you know that it exists. That way you know it exists.
Correct, Amundo. So now my list of games, I need to get the new God of War. It's not new anymore. I need RE2 and 3 because I'm a collector like that, and I can't just have 2 and not have 3. It'd be fucking weird. And I think that's it for PlayStation 4 stuff right now. Just waiting on Avengers and Spidey 2.
One last thing before we get out of here.
Sure.
Tyler, Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yes. Yes, Queen.
Re-Reckoning. The game originally came out for 360, Xbox 360, and PS3. Of course, it is it was a marriage of R.A. Salvatore and Todd McFarlane and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion lead designer Ken Rolston. Of course, the game was originally developed by a studio that was made by an MLB player. And they went out of business right after the game came out. So there was no more big updates. There's even some game-breaking bugs in the original game that I'm hoping that they took the time to fix with this, because this is a HD remaster. THQ Nordic acquired the license, and they're redoing it. Hopefully they're going to do a sequel if this does well. It comes out on August. Come on, where's it at? Where are you at? Where you is?
Where you be?
Where you am at?
It's like I know I saw it. August 18th.
Yeah, I was gonna say August 18th or 19th. I thought it was.
So you can get the base copy for PS4 or Xbox One or PC for about $40. They are releasing a collector's edition with a bunch of cool stuff for $110. This game is awesome. This game definitely does not get talked about nearly as much. Tyler, I remember when me and you first started talking, we were just talking about games, and one of us mentioned, like, man, you know what's a cool game? Kingdoms of Amalur. And the other one went, shut the front door. Yes, it is.
Absolutely, because especially like at the time, you know, if you're a fan of Western RPGs, like everybody has played Oblivion, everybody's played Skyrim, you know, and the original, what year did the original one come out? February 7th of 2012.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kingdoms of Amalur came out right around that Skyrim time, and everyone, you know, 11, 11, 11. Everybody is fascinated with how awesome Skyrim is. And then I started to hear a lot of news, and like IGN was talking about this game a lot and how it's like Skyrim, but it feels a lot like God of War with the combat, and the RPG system's unique but still familiar. And I played it, and I played the hell out of it. I never beat it, I think, because I rented it and I had to get it back. But it's fucking fantastic. Like it's got a good story, the gameplay's good, and now we're gonna get it, you know, basically a full remaster of it, which is great.
I remember they did like a Mass Effect tie-in too, where if you played the Mass Effect 3 demo and then you played this, you unlocked something for this game, but then it
was the N7 armor in was it the Omni Blade or was it the N7 armor?
I can't remember what it was. I know there was a tie-in, and then there was another tie-in somewhere with like Mass Effect 3 online in this game. Was it armor, or it like they did like a little crossover thing where, like, you know, if you played both of them, then you kind of unlocked the DLC armor, and then eventually it was offered for free or whatever. But I just sent you guys the Xbox One
I saw
X limited edition Cyberpunk 2077 console.
Sexy. Holy shit.
And I'm really digging the look of it.
It is bad. This is my favorite console design since the Star Wars Xbox 360.
It is available still right now. It's not sold out. Oh, no. It is buy used.
Oh, no.
It is buy used. You can buy it new and used from $619 on Amazon. So don't do that, folks. Walmart might have it. And they might have sold out by now. Originally, note that some retailers are offering the bundle for $299. That's a great, fantastic deal.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's out of stock at Walmart now for $299. It went fast. I mean, getting an Xbox One X terabyte for $299
with the game.
With the game, it's sold out at Best Buy as well.
The Gears of War version of that same console is $550 on Amazon.
Holy fuck!
Wow. I'm clicking on all the places. I'm clicking on all the places to see if it's in stock anywhere.
No, that's by used.
Best bet is to wait day of and see if somebody doesn't pick up a reserve that you can end up buying at your GameStop, because that's usually what happens.
I don't support GameStop anymore.
Fair enough. I haven't been there in a long time, but I was just, throwing it out there.
Since they tried to say that people's lives weren't important.
There you go.
Correct. Fuck them.
The Cyberpunk SteelSeries fucking headset looks badass.
Yes, it does. So through Microsoft, you can build your bundle by choosing the Xbox One X bundle, and then you click that. So choose your console required. So you got to have that. Then you say save $10 on a Xbox wireless controller, which is optional. You can buy gold or anything like that, which is optional, but it will not let you check out.
Weird.
It won't let me do it, at least. So, wow. Yeah, it won't.
Man, I
let me
wish
click
I
on
would have
nothing.
known this was $299. I would have bought one.
I mean, it's freaking worth it because, like, kind of like what I said, like if you buy the X now, and you want to buy both the Series X, and granted, we both want to be top notch. We both want to experience the new technology. I'm like that. I bought the PS4 at launch. It was my first one I ever bought at launch.
Me too.
And it was phenomenal to be able to play that for the first time. I mean, granted, I was playing Assassin's Creed 4, which wasn't a built for PS4 game directly, but it still looked way better than what some of my friends were playing on PS3 and Wii U. Right. And you could tell. I remember going over to a friend's house and seeing the water, going, "Wow, yeah." I could definitely tell. I could definitely tell that where they made the enhancements. But I kind of feel like if you buy an X, you'll probably be good for a couple years, even with these awesome games. Maybe Halo will look just that much better on the Series X. Maybe you're better waiting off if you want to spend the money. But I don't really want to spend $1,200 come November. And knowing me, I know where I'm going first. I'm going to go PlayStation first, and then I'll hit that Xbox One down the line. And that way I can experience both because that's where I'm at too, man. The exclusives are great for both consoles. You know, it's a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah. See, the shitty thing for me is with the games that I play with my friends, you know, I have to get what everybody else gets. I tried to get my entire friend base on the last go-round to go PlayStation with me because of what Microsoft did at that E3 way back when. I didn't want to buy a media hub. I wanted to buy a video game console. And since then, I have, I occasionally play video games with Blaine, but he's the only one on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So,
it is pretty crazy how, like, I mean, eventually that stopped being a big contention because, I mean, I'll give it to Xbox and give it to Phil Spencer. They really turned the brand around.
Yep.
So.
I don't know about you guys, but I've played an unhealthy amount of Apex Legends here lately.
No idea what that is. I've been playing an unhealthy amount of Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Hey, send me the friend code.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Do you have an island?
Skylar's got a fucking island. I don't play it.
Oh, well, I'll friend your code.
Yeah, friend me a code, bro.
I'll friend your code, bro.
Kate was all about it when it came out, and she got it and she played it for about a month, and then I don't think she's even touched it for a while.
I got it for Skylar for our anniversary.
Yeah, there you go.
Everybody, I got it for Sarah for her birthday. Everybody in our house has a house except for V. She is just not. She refuses to play it. Hey. But Ollie has a house, and he's like a fucking crazy old man that hoards shit because he has all of his shit on the beach. He doesn't put anything in his house. It's just literally they're like, oh, here's a random shirt that I found, and here's a fucking present, and there's a table, and then there's a bed out on the beach.
Fuck yeah, I want a bed on the
crazy beach. Old man, just like throwing his trash all aside, and I'm over here like, I have to make my house perfect. And then I saw somebody fucking. They took everything in the game. They must have been playing unlimited amount of time to make this happen. They recreated, with everything being from Animal Crossing New Horizon, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers intro. Completely. What? Look it up. After this, go look it up. It is fucking amazing. Like, they have like a lady with a witch hat, which is Rita, and then they have like the 5 different Rangers and then 5 big Zords to complement. And this is all stuff you can unlock in Animal Crossing. So it was pretty. I was like, wow, somebody had too fucking much time, like way too much time on their hands.
Jesus.
Yes, Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus for sure.
I haven't really been playing much of anything. I platinumed FF7 Remake and got that done, and I've kind of been just floating around, playing a little bit of GTA. I played a little bit of Street Fighter, floating around with some games because I know Last of Us is coming out. Right. Part of me wants to pick up Persona 5 again, but I'm like, nah, Last of Us is like next week, bro. I probably shouldn't.
Surprised you aren't doing a full Last of Us blow through replay just to be like,
what, bro?
Psyched.
Well, actually, I did that back in like November or something like that because I ended up doing the deep dive.
Yeah, that's right.
For the podcast, and so like everything in the game is still pretty fresh up here. Because I went and did all that work for the deep dive. But I will let you guys know.
Sounds good.
The next deep dive that I'm doing, Mass Effect.
Oh my goodness.
The first Mass
That'll
Effect.
that'll be a fun one.
So
37 hours of podcasting compiled by
goodness.
Brando.
I finally finished my Mass Effect 2 playthrough on YouTube. It's done, and I will be starting Mass Effect 3 over my summer shutdown. So yeah, there you go. So I thought, and hey, and this time that I've kind of got off, that I'm not recording gameplay, I actually do want to try and track that. Doing deep dives is hard and actually kind of stressful for me because it's like I have to talk for an extended amount of time about a game that I love. And it's easy to do with Mass Effect. Very easy to do with Mass Effect and its lore. So
Hell yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that one, dude.
Hell
Me
yes.
too.
Hell yes. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show here today. It was so good to be on the air with you guys on JIC 299. Go check that episode out. It was really fun. And next week, make sure you guys tune in to journeyintocomics.com, to all those places where you can find podcasts. Type in Journey into Comics Network, because Journey into Comics 300 is coming out. It has been a long time coming. I'm so proud to have been a part of the history of Journey into Comics. This podcast wouldn't exist without my experience with Journey into Comics. This was the first spinoff of Journey into Comics, and
Absolutely, man.
was very, very, very happy to be asked to be a part of that. So, and thank you guys so much for coming on here and chit-chatting with me about some games.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having us.
having us. Haha, we said it at the
Yeah.
same time. Tandem.
Absolutely, dude. It's always fun to have you guys on here, and it's the first time to have you guys on, both together. This is something that we haven't really done before.
It's true. I loved it. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, be sure to, guys, again, like I said, go check out Journey into Comics on all those podcast places: Apple, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify. They're actually getting bigger with their podcast stuff. So, all those places. You can also check them out on YouTube. They got some stuff there as well. Just like this show, you could check us out in all those magical places. And YouTube is your one-stop shop for everything that we do, including podcasts and gaming, and live streams occasionally when I feel up to it. When I feel like actually going through the problems and the hassle of putting the live stream out there, which maybe I will do here soon. Until then, guys, make sure that you guys stay healthy, stay smart, and I don't know what to say. Yeah.
I loved that.
There's
Awesome.
like another thing that I had in my mind. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure how to say it. Yeah. It's been a great time. It's been a great time, you guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much for
having
having
us.
us again.
Absolutely. Until next time, guys. I've been Brando. He's been
I've been
Tyler.
TY.
He's been Nate.
I'm Nate.
And we'll see you guys next time, guys. Game on.